Yes, hello everyone. Sorry, we showed up on campus. Hopefully the mic is working. We have had to string this together very quickly. We are at the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design, who sponsors the show, and specifically the illustration department. And they are set up for senior show.
Yeah.
Maybe I can actually pan around real fast here. So each of the studios is like set up like a mini gallery, which is really, really cool. But I hadn't planned on it. So that's Mairin-Taj. Hello, Mairin-Taj. So we hadn't planned, I hadn't planned, because I'm not a good planner. And so I had to find a little cubby for us to work in. But we're here, we're all together. Everybody's happy. I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
Okay. You're
Except
not
for being
happy.
overly hot.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's like 90 degrees here in beautiful Lancaster, PA. And yeah, PA has a funny habit of like skipping over the 60s and 70s and going straight to like the 80s.
Yeah. Right into summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome to Life Study. So this is episode 10, which
Yay!
is awesome. I'm very excited about that. Although technically we have a lot more episodes that just are in the vault.
Yes.
That's
right.
So I thought we'd do a live show for episode 10. I think we did one for 5 also.
Yeah,
if I
it
remember
was.
correctly.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And it also gives us a chance to hopefully take questions, but also I'm going to try to check the chat while we're working. I don't want to make any promises because it's hard to, I have a second device to try to figure that out, but
You'll be multitasking.
yes,
A lot.
which I'm not always good at. Surprise, surprise. Mairin-Taj, so other than the temperature, you're good?
Ooh, yes, I'm good. I'm cooling down.
Yes. You do anything fun in the nice weather?
Coming up? Not really, no.
Since I saw you a week ago, so.
That's true, yeah. No, I've just been foraging for wild things outside and surviving inside.
Awesome. All right, I can't see the chat. I am not seeing the chat for. So I'm also hoping we can get feedback here. Anyway, let me fix this. So the show, if you haven't seen one before, is the idea is that Mairin-Taj and I are old friends, and we've been working together for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9.
100 years.
Yeah. And we get together, and I draw, and she models. Mairin-Taj is a professional artist and art model. She's been working here at PCAD for years, and she's also a grad from the illustration department. But you're probably more...
But now I'm in the fine art world.
Right. I was going to say you're probably more of a fine artist than an illustrator in that you don't like to be told what to draw, which is I respect immensely.
Plus, I also get bored easy, so I need to change my interest all the time.
So we get together here at PCAD to just draw and talk art, and we usually have a subject that sort of is a theme for the show. This time it's going to be you guys just telling us your questions and us trying to hopefully answer them well while I draw and Mairin-Taj models. We did get 2 questions on my side. Did you get any on yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not surprised in that, like.
I just posted last night.
Yeah, and I posted maybe 2 or 3 days ago, so I didn't give everybody a long lead time. I'll try to do better about like scheduling these things.
Yeah.
On my other show, I partner with this old friend of mine, Nicholas, who's like an old hat at. Wait, this is no comments. Oh, I'm in the wrong post. He's been podcasting for like 10 years, so he runs a very tight ship, which is nice because I can just coast. But I did get 2 questions, so I'll read you. I'll read you the first one, and maybe we'll draw while we discuss it, and then halfway through we can jump into the second one. I think they're really good questions, actually.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. So, and these people are people that I've gotten to know really, really well on my side.
Oh, good.
So first one's Dakota Fox, who is from, Jamar calls them the P&Ws because they're from the Pacific Northwest. There's 3 of them that are incredibly supportive and awesome, and it's kind of a community going on our side
Nice.
around the podcast, and I'm hoping that they'll kind of come over to this show also.
Welcome.
Yeah. So she asked, when you have a bunch of students doing live drawings with you, then you go look at what they drew, does what you see ever inform you of who they are as people? Which is like, so the joke on our side is I am the Nakota whisperer, and that I always can like, Jamar's always a little confused by her questions. And for me, like, they strike a chord every time. This is one of those.
Nice.
Where I'm like, because you want to say, and if you want to set up.
You want to start 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just do some leisurely warm-ups.
Yes. Also, hopefully my battery doesn't die. I don't have a plug. So if the show cuts out inexplicably, I apologize in advance.
We'll be back.
Yes. So the question is, do you think differently about the students once you've seen their drawings? And I have a very gut answer to it. And
you'd be perfect for that with all of your teaching experience.
So I should go first, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid of saying this because there's a part of me that like immediately thought, well, no, because you can't know that much from the type of work we do, which is more like I teach anatomy here with you and expressive figure, and it tends to be a little technical, right? And so my gut reaction is like, well, probably not, except I know that's not true, right? I think what I end up taking away from a student's work is their level of commitment.
Which is certainly an aspect of their personality, you could argue.
True.
At that moment in time.
That's a good quantifier because I talk a lot about the dudes I went to school with who some of them were just goofballs and went on to have incredible careers. And so I try not to judge in terms of like where you are at that moment. But you can't help but think like you're clearly not, you don't want to do this. You're not into this, which makes me wonder why you're, pursuing this particular kind of art if you're not into it. And but I don't know if that's fair. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, I've noticed that too as a present artist and an art model in the community is. But I think that is fair if you're remembering. All right, so the student doesn't seem to be that interested, that engaged, not really trying to extrapolate from their education everything that they can in this moment. But maybe next year or after their collegiate experience, that will change. So, okay, that was that. Pose.
And also, like, it's maybe not fair in my classes because they're often like mandatory.
Oh.
So you know what I mean? Like it's not like they chose to take anatomy. You probably hate it. So yeah, I try not to be too judgmental because
Well, I think it's fair. I guess what I'm saying is I think it's fair to acknowledge what the student through their work may be giving you, the class.
Yeah.
In that time, and in that breath, be able to go. This is just where they're at right now. Maybe next week will be different. Maybe next year, whatever. Kind of give that kind of grace of like, okay, now is not where they will forever be as an artist.
This is true. Because often you get the right lesson at the wrong time. I know, like I did not. It's kind of ironic that I've become this anatomy guy because I did not like it in college, frankly. Like I remember thinking there was sort of it was a little too much. Like I remember I had to take this philosophy class in college, and he was first. This is around the early days of brain scanning and trying to figure out why the brain does what it does. And I remember the professor saying once, they want to understand a conversation by taking apart a phone. And I remember thinking that's what we do with anatomy. Like we're trying to figure out what the figure is doing by taking it apart, and it just seemed like weirdly macho to me at first, frankly. Like the idea of like I gotta study a cadaver, whatever. So I was kind of shitty about anatomy. The lesson was not the right one for me at the time. It took me years to realize, like, I had been kind of subtly studying it indirectly, and being hard-headed about it made that process take longer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting though for you. I was the opposite. I was obsessed.
Really?
I loved my anatomy classes, and I was cantankerous about the other students giving the teacher a problem. You know, I kind of became protective of the teacher.
Yeah, you said she was really good.
Yeah, she was great, and then she got essentially kicked out.
Is that your phone?
Yeah. Just because the students were complaining it was too hard.
Wow.
But I was a bit of a deep dive nerd in that way.
Yeah.
And now I'm not a stickler for that kind of anatomical stuff anymore.
Do you think it's just because you've absorbed it and now you don't need to?
I hope it's because I've absorbed it, but
Yeah.
it's probably more like I've just kind of gone in a little bit more of an impressionistic direction with kind of my.
But you can
My
because you know the
marketing.
anatomy.
Yeah, maybe. I can just claim in a
Yeah.
bravado way. Like,
I mean, your work says you do, and
oh, thank you.
I think it's like writers aren't obsessing about practicing grammar
Right. Once they
because
get the
they've
flow
done
of
it,
it,
right?
yeah.
So I would suspect that's where your work is. So.
But I'm much more loosey-goosey now with my sketches, which is funny.
Yeah, but they're so structured. There's no way you get there without knowing all the anatomy.
The foundation.
Stuff, right?
It's true, foundation's key, and that is why we're doing this kind of work, kids.
Yes.
But I think in kind of more of a playful way with the question, I'm gonna go to 3 minutes. Yeah?
Yep.
Is like anything quirky about the students that you can notice? Cause
Oh yeah.
like there was that one kid that insisted on doing studies with crayons.
Oh God, he showed up to my crit this past week.
Oh really?
Yeah, just for no good reason, just sat in on it and gave good feedback and like.
Oh, that's great.
As much as he came off like a goofball during class, it was all sort of informed by like his interests and then we got into this funny relationship of like me hating him supposedly and he said that knowing it was a joke, but you're
Yeah.
right, like his work, he needed stuff to make it fun, like he wasn't trying to ignore it, he was just trying to find a way to make it I just lost my point.
Oh, he was trying to find a way in to
Yes.
the work, really, which I think is what we all try to do in our own ways.
Yes.
That was a funny student.
Yeah, he was very.
Yeah.
I think he might be graduating. I'm not sure.
This year?
Maybe because he's with. No, wait. He's a junior. Sorry.
Oh.
But I was thinking of another student in last semester's anatomy class, and she had this really. I don't know if you remember. She always wore like the Doc Martens boots, and she sat up like kind of close to you usually.
Yes.
And she had this really unique style that like.
Yeah.
She struggled with technical stuff, but only because her style lent itself to like kind of old school illustration. Like her style was weird and
What kind of old school illustration?
in the way that like I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm thinking of like those kind of
Like Lion Decker old school? Or?
no, not quite that old. I'm thinking like 70s, like
Oh.
who's the guy? Is it McGinnis or?
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking
Those
about.
guys that like did paintings that felt like it's kind of like what we're talking with your work, where he couldn't paint that way if he didn't study traditional old school paintings. But he left so much like to the imagination in his work that I don't know. It's like those painters.
Suggestive?
Yeah, like those painters that would just kind of drop a color or a texture and somehow it still said everything they needed to say.
I love that.
And her work was like that, at least to me. And yeah, and that's something you don't, like, I started to catch myself wondering what she was thinking while she was drawing. So yeah, you're right about the quirkiness.
And it also, the question also reminds me of something I heard as a student, something I hear and kind of interact with now as a professional, and with you and your teaching is I mean, it's very obvious with students, but it can carry through the whole age range. But people will draw faces kind of like their face, or they'll draw bodies a little bit like their body.
Yeah.
You know, they'll subconsciously imbue something of themselves into the figure studies.
You're right. Yeah, and or they do their ideal.
Yeah, their
Right.
ideal,
Is that-
right.
There's a lot of in our class where they're doing the figure and it's you, with an anime face.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've noticed. Or there was like, over the years, there've been a couple of really, really tall, lanky students, and they make me extra lanky and tall.
Or muscular.
Or
that's
like
the other
really,
big one.
yeah.
Everybody's always making you beefy.
That's really.
Yeah. Which again is, I think, towards the ideal things. That's a great point.
So that, I think that's a part of the whole personality thing, and it can come out in both how they attend to the process of drawing, but also in the work itself, like what their work looks like.
That's great. Yeah, because my head went straight to where are you in terms of the disciplines you approach, and I didn't think at all about the sort of the leaking out of their personality into their work, you know?
Is there any other ways in which you've noticed that as a student?
I think I just go straight to the
Or as a
obvious
teacher?
stuff. Yeah, like I think I've been, all this other stuff I'm not thinking about until you're mentioning it. I think if I give it an honest answer before your input, it's all based on, like, are you invested or not, which is maybe not fair. But yeah, I love this idea of their inside sort of leaking out into the world with their pencil, which is, maybe that's, I don't know why that's news to me as an artist.
Well, and we were just talking in recent weeks to the students about, you were mainly, but being wary of getting too tight and tense and hard on yourself and with high expectations, so that the work doesn't visually get restricted and suffer. And I think that when the students, what I've noticed with students particularly, is when they're more relaxed and there's less of an what's the word, not assignment, but less of a, like,
it feels less like homework. Maybe, mission's a great way to put it, actually.
When there's less of a mission around the classwork, life drawing, they're relaxed, their personality comes through more.
Yes, and they relax and they start joking while drawing, and you get a more, there's that Chinese expression of like, try, not try?
Yeah.
Or flow state, I guess is what they call it here in the West. You're right, they get into this like relaxed form of drawing, and the drawings are almost always better.
Yeah, they get more experimental, even more playful.
Yeah.
And I think we can all relate to that. When we're more relaxed, the work is more interesting.
Yeah, this is why I love doing a show with you, because I would not have gotten here mentally, because I will tell them, like, you guys gotta relax, try harder to relax, and it's like I'm not getting the point across at all, and it's because I will bring that subject up because I'm back in the studio being a maniac, like putting myself on training regimens like I'm in a gym or something.
In beast mode.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Well, it obviously is working for you.
Well, I don't know.
Somehow.
I don't know. Like, I started doing these stupid, I brought the sketchbook, like treating some figure stuff like bark plates.
Yeah.
I've shown these on. So the idea is that you do this, like, you break everything down so the model's not even anything more than just a collection of shapes. And I'm doing these things because I caught myself making broad assumptions about, like, approaching the figure, and I wanted to, like, correct them. And I've done maybe a half dozen of them, and I'm like, I don't know if this is, it's a good exercise, but maybe I should just chill the fuck out a little bit.
I don't know. I think from my personal experience, I think artists, we need to vacillate. We need to go swing from one side of the pendulum to the other. We need to have, like, hard beast mode training days or weeks of
Yeah, heavy days and then aerobic days.
And then we need to kind of, like, be super lofty and ephemeral and loosey-goosey. And I think maybe that's just me speaking as a, neurospicy weirdo.
You say neurospicy?
Neurospicy.
I love that.
I heard some other divergent people using that term, and I was like, yes.
Neurospicy is hysterical. Yeah, I think you're right. I think and that's what I tend to do. There's a part of me that worries that there's something I'm looking for that's probably right in front of me, and if I don't know that I can train my way there.
Oh, that's a good thought.
I don't know. Well, I'll figure, but I don't know anything but work.
Yeah.
And so I end up like finding my way through working, and I think part of it is, what's that? Is it the Buddhist tradition of like they make the monks like scrub floors? Like they find the path through just labor, and so I don't know any other way to try it. So that's just what I do.
I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
What was it, Einstein? Or like lots of scientists have talked about how they came to epiphanies through menial labor or boring tasks.
Yeah.
And I find that that's helpful as a creative as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We're kind of branching all over the place.
No, it's a great response, I think. So I'll say, is there any kind of wrap up for that question that any point you want to hit before we go to the next one?
I think, yeah, in many ways, in the work, in the way the students show up to the work or don't.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of ways in which our personalities can show through.
Yeah. Amen.
So yes.
Dakota, thank you. It's genuinely a great question.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot there.
Yeah, and I feel like we could probably have done a whole show.
Maybe we can revisit it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And I'm feeling a little weirdly frantic because I'm looking between both devices and trying to keep track of time and everything. So forgive me if I sound distracted. Anyway, let's look at this next question from Patrick. Where am I?
What are we at on this? 20 seconds.
I'm sorry, you might
Shall we
just take
okay.
a break. Let me look up this question.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, here we go. So, Patrick. All right, Patrick asks. Patrick is amazing. He's besides being on my side of the Patreon, become friends. The guy helps me put together all my Kickstarters. He's genuinely, he is so nice to me that it makes me nervous. I'm like, why? Like, I don't deserve how nice this guy is to me. So, Patrick says, when doing a live drawing, do you find it easier to work on the overall form, or do you like to focus on one area of the figure that you, as an artist, struggle with or want to capture? Which is also a great question for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking both approaches. But yeah, anyway, before I jump in, do you want to?
Well, I mean, similarly, I am perpetually kind of doing any and all of it. Yes, like I will. It depends on what I want out of the practice, or out of the drawing, or out of the pose.
Correct.
You know, if I see a pose and I'm really drawn to a particular part of it, I try to just go with that. You know, that's the pose speaking to me.
Yeah.
You know, if I see a really interesting composition and I want to hone in and then like bleed the rest of it out through, you know, an implied mark making, then that's
Correct.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Or if I'm just like I want to hone in and get the whole thing and be really tight and be really refined, then I'll do that. So
It's funny because my answer's the same, but almost from a different angle. Because I think, I mean, we talk about in the one figure drawing class we do expressive figure. It's designed so that we start with line of action gestures, which is the idea that you kind of go just one line and figure out the main movement of the figure.
yeah.
And then from there you try to build up the form in general, which is kind of what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So depending on the type of drawing, I generally start this way, like kind of the entire form at once. So you have a base drawing, and then I'll try to build out from that, where you figure out the points that relate to each other, what connects to what. It's way less specific than probably most folks will. Maybe I'm less specific than your work even, because I'm trying to get the gist of the figure as quickly as possible. But with these more technical drawings I've been doing, it's the opposite, right? Because I will do a gesture in that sort of grid that I've set up, but what I'm doing is like taking little sections at a time and checking like what's an angle, what's the difference, the distance from like this line to the heel, things like that. That I think, if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's sort of what he's describing in the second part where you're like being very, very specific to a part of the form and figuring it out. I'm not sure if that answer made any sense, Pat. I feel like I just said yes to both.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my answer. Is just it depends. For me, and I know there are some artists who are very academic, or maybe very, very much Italian style.
Yeah.
Consistently, they're very, very regimented and consistent.
Right.
And then every time they start drawing, no matter what it is, it's
that way. You
right.
always go that way at it. Yeah, that makes sense.
But for me, I can't do anything that way. I have to constantly change it up. So.
Yeah, it would just be boring.
Yeah.
I mean, the atelier approach has its place, and it's
Absolutely,
great.
Yeah.
I think what ends up happening often is that like that approach becomes like the whole point for everybody, and I think that's where I have to diverge from it, because like I want to learn all those skills.
Yeah, but then you want to use them in different
for
ways.
fun stuff.
Yeah,
right. You know, like you'll see these guys do a barn drawing and they'll spend 200-300 hours on one, and that's wonderful, and they turn out just like the original barn drawing. and that's that's a great skill.
Yes.
But I don't want that to be the point of drawing for my work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, frankly. It's a skill, it's a tool in your tool belt that you want to develop. But alright, let's do another.
Let me check where you're jumping in to make sure there's not a thing in the chat here. So yeah, I think we probably both agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to see if there's any comments in the chat. No. Hopefully that's not someone trying to get in. And if anybody has any questions that you want to drop into the chat, I won't promise that I can see them, but we'll try. Where's my thing here? This thing's not working. I do not have my, nope, that's not what I meant to do. That was a screen capture, by the way, just so you know. Okay. I can't get the YouTube chat to load. I was really hoping.
Oh, wait, were you drawing? I didn't know.
I wasn't, I'm sorry. I'll start. I was hoping to get the stupid, you can't see it on your end, can you?
What?
If you click the link on your Patreon, does it take you to YouTube, and can you see if there's a chat?
Oh, I'm seeing you. Yeah, I can see the chat. Let's see.
Is there any questions that popped up?
Oh, it's not letting me scroll through the chat though. Let's see.
I'm sorry, everyone. I am not good at multitasking. Here.
Oh, we got a Nakota Fox said, I'm going to start using Neurospicy LOL. Yay!
Yay!
Spread the word.
She's great.
Yes.
I wish I could see the damn chat. Okay.
I can see a bunch of Nakota Fox comments, and that's it.
Okay, so that's the only person probably that's jumped on.
Possibly.
All right, that's a positive, because I can't get it to load on my end for some reason.
Shall we do some more?
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a clunky way to do this, but it's not. It's all good.
We gotta practice, and we'll get better as we go.
Yeah, it would be nice. So one of the things I could do is set up with a desktop, so that I'm recording on the phone, and then be able to look at the desktop for the comments.
Yeah.
Every time I bring this up, like, let's see here. Like if I click it, I can't bring it. It won't load YouTube. It won't even load that.
Oh, that's weird. What I did was I went into our text message and I clicked the link you sent me, and it
That's
took me
smart.
straight to YouTube.
Oh shit, because I gave you the YouTube link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can try that in your.
Well, that's what this technically is the YouTube link, but it won't go to it. And yeah, no, I'm sorry about the camera thing. It was a stupid screen. I hit this is an old tablet, so if you hit the thing and the volume, it does a screen capture, and I did not intend it. I promise I didn't take a picture.
I trust you.
So if there aren't any questions, we'll just keep talking and drawing, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a new phone, so I have to keep. I haven't done all my updates, so I gotta keep getting on to the timer. Okay. Do you want to do that pose again?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to get into it. Same one.
And go. Yeah. So I think the question of like where the work, or rather, what does the work tell you about the person? And Patrick's question of like, do you go at the entire thing, or you look for something that you need to work on? And I wonder if there's not like a thread there that kind of goes between the two, right? Because you can't help but reveal parts of yourself when you're drawing, and does you're wanting to like get very technical, does that say something? You know, like is it me just being like a little obsessive about trying to get better, or insecure about whether my work is gonna stay relevant, and do I need to train? And like there's a lot of stuff you open yourself up to when you start thinking about what the work says about you outside of just what you say about the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just noticing, like, if you have a habit of just going in and drawing the ear,
Yeah.
maybe that's something like that you can work with. You know, I'm always honing in on the ears. Maybe I should spread out a bit more.
Yeah. I think the thing you said about loosening up and taking a relaxed approach to your work is an important one, because you're in class you often mentioned to the students like watch out for chicken scratch drawings, right? Like chill out, don't just scribble everything down. Try to be more thoughtful about the marks you're making, and I think that comes from their nervousness about maybe being in art school, being in a figure drawing class, just being around a bunch of artists in general. Like, am I gonna be good enough? There's a little bit of a performance thing, right? When you're in a figure drawing class, you like to avoid it, but you can't help but like get into this comparison of work.
Yeah, I think partly why I love the warning of the chicken scratch is the term chicken scratch. Like, it's kind of, to me, it's saying be wary of getting formulaic or repetitive or mindless with just scratching away at the paper to get something down.
Yeah, I think the mindless thing is really the thing that I hope they take away from you giving them that wake-up call, because there is so much of that, right? Just scribble, 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 and hope that it looks like something at the end.
Right. If you're doing that, you need to step back and find a way in that is more intentional.
If I sounded weird, it's because I was kind of upside down and I was putting weight on my head.
You okay?
So yeah.
All right.
That might have been. It was a little difficult to talk.
All right. It's over.
You want to do any longer poses?
It's up to you. If you're comfortable. How long have we been at this? What time is it? Yeah, we still have lots of time.
Okay.
As long as you're comfortable. I'm good.
Yeah, I'll go up to 6. How about that?
Okay.
So we're doing 3.
Oh, actually, no, I forgot to mention our sponsors. Blackwing Pencil, helps support the show by sending us pencils and stuff. We just got the Jerry Garcia pencils. Those are the ones I brought into class last week.
Yeah.
Did you get to try them at all?
I have not. I've been working on what are the blue ones?
Oh yeah, so Blackwing made the limited edition non-photo blue pencils. So
Yeah.
do you use those?
Yes.
Did you like them?
I do. I'm doing a project with them.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay.
that's exciting.
Yeah, they're a little softer than like a traditional non-photo blue pencil.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't like soft pencils, is maybe not so great. But if you want to do something a little more artsy with them, as opposed to like, correcting something, it lends itself to that, which is nice.
Yeah, I enjoy the, for lack of a better term, kind of expressiveness of it.
Yeah. Well, the Jerry Garcia ones, I sharpened one up, and it's really soft.
Oh.
Which, if you like that kind of silky, or I'm not trying to turn the show into a commercial, by the way. I just genuinely like pencils, but yeah, it's very soft, and it's pretty lush.
Like
It's
buttery?
Yeah, it feels almost like they made a Basquiat pencil that had a similar feel, at least to me. So yeah, if you break them out, let me know.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a link in the description if you want to pick up Blackwing pencils and support the show. Anyway, so subject-wise, I think both questions were great. The Nakota one, though, has me wondering more, how much do we let out, or how much do we let people see? Maybe that's a better way, because you're not really letting it out, it just kind of comes out. With our work and how we approach stuff. And have you ever shown something to someone and had a funny reaction, oh, I didn't know you were X, Y, and Z, or you know what I mean, make assumptions about you based on your work?
I'm sure it has happened. Nothing specific comes to mind, but I know that I've had a lot of. For me, I'll be really proud of something, and I'll show someone, and they'll have a kind of reaction.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think maybe that is because we do kind of reveal something in the work that we don't reveal in our day-to-day interactions with people.
Yeah.
And it may even be something registered in a subconscious manner by the viewer, but it can it creates, an emotive response oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's true. I get a lot of huge assumptions. I don't even think it's necessarily me. I don't know actually, but I remember one specific case. I was going somewhere with my sister. She dropped me off, and I accidentally left a sketchbook in her car. And I was in a restaurant, and she came in with the sketchbook. She goes, "Michael!" I did something. She's 15 years older than me, so it was like I was in trouble. I thought, "What the hell? What did I do?" And she had looked at my sketchbook. She was like, "Derek, this sketchbook's for the naked people."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "You stupid." Are you serious? But she just is sort of I don't know. We've talked about this on the show. The assumption that nude is the same as naked, and the oh my God, you just draw naked people all day.
The shock factor.
Yeah, and this assumption that I don't know, whatever assumption comes along with that. I think we've talked about the movie Titanic ruining people's perception of what figure drawing is.
I'm sure there's many things that have done that, but
yeah, true. But the other one I get is people assuming that I am a nerd expert because of the comic work I do.
Oh, okay, that makes
so,
sense.
I'll get comments on my Instagram or in person, and they'll say "Oh, that's great, you work for Marvel. What do you think? Don't you hate this new guy? He's woke and he's this and he's that." And it's I'm like, dude, he's so I get a lot of that, but I'm wondering about the more personal aspect of it, what people think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do. I remember a lot of my drawings. People will ask me, "Oh, I didn't know that you worked with male models," or which I don't actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't.
Or they'll think that I'm drawing men.
Yeah.
Which I I don't have anything against drawing men, but I'm kind of in a phase of like, it's sort of part of my philosophical mission with the femininity thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I do a lot of female subjects, but I like to infuse a range, so I like to kind of work with different ethnicities, and I think a lot of people have assumed that if I'm not doing the stereotypical westernized Vogue model of a female, then they're like, oh, this is a man. It's like, no, it's not.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they think even though you're drawing women, they must be men.
Right.
Oh, gotcha. That's odd.
Because I'm just drawn to interesting features, but people think that an interesting feature on a female is masculine.
Gotcha.
Just
No,
like,
that
what?
makes perfect sense because I have actually gotten that also.
Yeah.
Only because I'm a guy, people will be more direct and they'll go, oh man, you draw. I remember getting critiques going, yeah, you know, your work's really good, but you always draw ugly chicks. Like literally saying that. And I didn't see it. And I remember, oh shit, I made a mess.
We'll clean it up.
I cannot make a mess in the studio. But that was like a big no-no, you know, like, especially in comics, you can't, oh my God, how dare you?
How sad, you know,
Yeah.
that we can't like have more diversity.
Let me grab a different pencil. This one's, I think, the point I showed over here.
And also sad that people think that diverse features or anatomical
Equals
attributes
ugly.
equals ugly.
Yeah, it's infuriating. Which we talked about recently in the show, where, you know, I drew a heavier set model and it was,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think. Oh, I was in the.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was an unusual stretch for you to hold
It's
for
a
long.
very good twisting stretch.
Yeah, it's a great stretch. I don't know if you want to hold it for 6 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. The assumptions that will come along with this stuff.
It's frustrating too, because a lot of people I've talked to will be like, there's not enough diversity in art. Artists are always drawing the same thing.
Yeah.
I know for myself and artist friends and colleagues that I talk to, it's like, we're actually not.
Yeah, you're just not paying attention.
You're not, it's not, people aren't paying attention, or whatever's in the industry is not getting approved if it's not looking a certain way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's like, well, we're trying to break out some diverse imagery, for lack of a better word,
Yeah,
but a lot
yeah.
of it just doesn't make it all the way to, you know, the finish line.
Or if you see it in a gallery show, it's treated almost like a gimmick. You know? Oh, this is there was a show with a black figure painter, and you know I remember seeing comments in the and there's a video on the is it the MoMA website or I forget which, but you know there's this kind of thought that oh well yeah she's the and I say black figure artist because that's how a lot of people were talking about her, because I saw the thing, I'm like, oh, this work looks cool. I'm gonna check it out, and the comment section was reading like people who were just like, oh, that's why she got that show, as if it was some sort of quota that needed to be met, or it's a gimmick, right? It's a look, this is you have to always quantify with the black or the woman or the whatever, you're the artist for that group of people. Which is infuriating because I mean, my friend Jamar, who's a cartoonist, had the face, you know, like he wanted to get into newspaper comic strip cartooning for years and years, and he said, you know, he has this story about a editor or art director saying, we already have a black comic strip, like why would we need another one? You know, and it's just,
Wow.
yeah, so it's easy when you're trying to do something new to be seen as like, it almost makes you that much more easily dismissed.
Yeah, right.
Which is the opposite of what everybody seems to think is happening.
Oh, tragic.
Yeah. Although on the reader side, I say reader, it's probably wrong. I don't know, audience side, I have actually been thanked. You know, like people are just so grateful for different body types, different approaches, which is nice.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's good. I think we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Maybe the one before, I don't know.
You need that. I think, just to, so that, I shouldn't say we need it, because that's kind of poo-pooed in our world. But I do think that sometimes when you're trying to bring something new into a world where you don't see that kind of material and people react to it, then it reinforces that, yeah, this is needed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and as artists, I think we need to have that kind of response.
Yeah.
We need to get that validation or affirmation.
That's it.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's helpful. Because really, the work is not just for us.
It is not. Yeah, they fine artists will pretend like it is.
It's not.
But it's not. It's ridiculous. If we were, then why would we show it to anybody? If it was only for us.
Yeah.
So. And it was funny to hear, fine artists talk about it, like, well, this is just for us, but fine, I'll put it in a gallery because I have to, I guess, sell some art, like as if, that wasn't their main goal.
Yeah,
And they
I know.
weren't working every day to try to get a new show going or something, so.
That's such an old school thing. I think that the shame around making work that you want to have sell, that you want to have, good reception for, that you want to sustain your life, your livelihood, such a, why do we need to have shame around that,
I don't get it.
If you're lucky enough to be able to produce something that, speaks to your heart and soul and you get paid, like, that's great.
Yes, like who doesn't want to eat? I just don't get, I don't get the beef with it. Like, I mean, there's a lot wrong with the art market. There's a lot of money just being hidden in art and laundered and all that stuff. But if we get away from that and the idea of sharing art and also being able to live off of it, that's a really simple concept that seems to drive people nuts. You hear these AI artists talk about us as if we're in these Eiffel Towers and we're being exclusionary, which I think is hysterical.
It is, really.
With our years of home skills, how dare you keep that to yourself? So
What?
yeah. No, it's funny to see. You got to look at some of the weird propaganda coming out of the AI world. Like, there was a hashtag they were trying to spread called "Break the Pencil," which was they were using it as like a way of, break the tyranny of fine artists or people who draw, trying to keep the ability to themselves versus them who,
Wow.
AI was supposed to be for the people and anybody could do it. It's like, dude,
Wow.
a pencil, the cheapest tool possible.
Yeah.
That's the one that's keeping people
That everyone has, even when they're like 2 years old.
Yeah, it's hysterical. This, it's a weird world we're in right now.
When so many artists, including us, are trying to share drawing.
Yes.
It's great for everybody.
Yeah.
Pick up a pencil today.
No, and these idiots are like, let's break the pencil. I'll just send you some of the stuff that's there. And of course, they use AI to make the little propaganda poster, and it's this young artist holding a pencil, but the thing is like a foot long. So even the pencil, the AI couldn't get right.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very funny. But what can you do?
Where are we at?
We are at about 48 minutes. You want to do maybe one more and call it?
Sure.
Okay.
1 more 6 minute?
Yeah, if you're comfortable.
Okay. Yep. I didn't know what to do.
Do you want to see if there's anything in the chat on your side before we jump into it? Just in case. I give up on mine.
Oh, on my Patreon, you mean?
Or either one, if you have, just in case there's any last minute questions, or
Yeah.
I feel like it was all my folks, and I want to give your folks a chance.
Doesn't look like it, unfortunately.
And I guess nothing in the chat itself on YouTube.
Let's check YouTube. Nakota Fox says people will read what they will into your work based on their own lives / biases as well. Do you worry about that stuff?
Ooh, that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of hinted at the goofy version of that I get. But do you get any of that? Do you get people who are just like making big broad assumptions based on their beliefs?
Yeah, I think I do. There's in a very general way. I'm trying to get back to the time right here. There's I think the way that all of us fine artists or artists, visual artists in general, have dealt with, judgment around drawing the figure, the nude figure,
Yeah.
and what that says about us or what we believe in, or what our policies are.
Yes.
How we vote.
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's kind of where my head went. Is oh, you're an artist, you must be a communist, or you must be a socialist, or you must be. You can't be. Are you American enough?
Right. Why aren't you wearing dreadlocks?
How come you don't smell bad? Yeah. I think there is this idea that like art equals, I don't know, like woke to these people, and it's a thing now that's like everything else. There's a dividing line politically on like acceptable and not acceptable hobbies. Maybe is the word. I'm going to say hobbies because we are often talking to non-artists on this show who are maybe looking to get into figure art. And I do worry about that. Like, there's weird assumptions. I will tell people that I'm an artist or an illustrator, and there are definitely assumptions there, about your lifestyle.
Yeah, well, I think I get some of them just after the fact. Like, I'll show up to an event, sort of, as they would say, cleaned up. It's like, oh wow, you scrub up well.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't exist in paint-covered clothing,
Anyway.
actually, I don't know. Just
That's
little
so
stuff
odd.
like that is even
Yeah.
kind of like, what?
I remember, someone with money saying to me about like, oh, you're so lucky to have a job at the school. They didn't know about my work outside of the school.
Oh,
There's this idea that like, oh, you're an artist
yeah.
and you're not like begging me for money. That's wonderful.